Hello, Pink Collective, and welcome to Pink After Dark. Tonight's tales blur the line between true and fictional, so get comfortable, turn down the lights, and let's begin. The Peeping Tom. We weren't supposed to find the house. I know how that sounds. Every bad story starts with something forbidden, something hidden. But this is different. This house didn't want to be found yet, somehow. We found it anyway. It's set at the end of Briar Hollow Road, past the last mailbox, where the pavement fractured into gravel and the trees grew too close, their branches interlacing overhead like fingers. No one owned it, no records existed. It simply was tall, narrow, watching us approach too many windows, dark windows that reflected nothing. It looks hungry, Claire said. She was joking. We all laughed. We shouldn't have laughed. There were 6 of us that night. Me, Claire, my best friend since we were children, the only person who knows what I'm thinking before I think it. Evan and Mark, who brought beer they'd never drink. Sophie and Lena, inseparable, holding hands even as we approached the front door. We brought flashlights, cameras, the arrogance of people who believed bad things are fiction. The front door opened before anyone touched it. Just a crack, just enough. The air that seeped out wasn't old or musty. It was present, aware, like the house had been holding its breath, waiting, and now exhaled, softly, against our faces. Inside, the wallpaper peeled in long, deliberate strips, exposing something beneath that wasn't plaster, something pale, fibrous, like old skin. The hallway stretched forward, splitting left and right. The ceiling rose higher than the walls should allow. I noticed the corners first. They weren't empty. They felt occupied, not by anything I could see, but by the certainty that something was folded up there, pressed flat, watching us with patient attention. Just nerves, I told myself. The words felt thin. We spread out, not far, just enough to explore while still hearing each other's footsteps. The silence between those footsteps felt heavy, felt wrong. That's when Sophie stopped. Did you see that? We all turned. Mark's flashlight beam swung wild across the walls. See what? She pointed down the hallway, where it bent sharply left into deeper darkness. Something pulled back, like it was peeking around the corner. What did it look like? I asked, though a part of me didn't want to know. Sophie's face went strange, not frightened exactly, but confused, like her brain was refusing to process what her eyes had shown her. The first time I saw it clearly was in what used to be a dining room. The table lay turned over, one leg snapped off, cleanly, not splintered, but severed, as if something had bitten through it. There was a doorway on the far wall leading into a narrow corridor that seemed to be tilted slightly, defying perspective. I was the last to leave the room. I didn't know why I looked back, but I did, and I saw it, high in the corner above the door frame, where the wall met the ceiling, a shape that wasn't a shadow because shadows didn't lean. It tilted around the edge of the wall, impossibly tall, its body compressed and elongated at the same time. Long dark strands hung downwards like wet hair, or seaweed, or something that had never been hair at all. And below that fingers, long, black, too many joints. They curved around the edge of this wall like hooks, each fingertip pressing gently into the plaster, leaving small indentations. The hand didn't grip. It caressed the wall, almost lovingly. When it slipped back smoothly, soundless, so fast I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it. I didn't tell the others, because saying it out loud would make it real, and I wasn't ready for it to be real. The house changed, not suddenly, gradually, like a face shifting expressions when you weren't quite looking. We tried to retract our steps to the foyer, but the hallway had grown longer. The split in the corridor was on the wrong side now. A door that had been closed stood open, and through it I glimpsed a room we'd already passed through, except the furniture was different now, rearranged. Wait. Was this door here before? Evan asked. No one answered. We're all thinking the same thing, the thought we didn't want to voice. The house is learning us. The walls felt closer, the ceiling pressed lower. The air grew thick and warm like being in someone's mouth. And then Lena screamed. We found her standing rigid in front of a doorway, her flashlight beaming, shaking so violently it made the shadows dance. I saw it, she whispered. It leaned out from the top of the door frame. It was looking at me. She stopped because from around the corner ahead of us, very slowly a hand appeared. Long, jointed, in too many places, each finger ending in something that wasn't quite a nail and wasn't quite a claw, something black and curved and sharp. The hand didn't grab. It simply rested there, against the wall, fingers spread, palm pressed flat, as if testing the texture of the wood. Gently, exploratory, curious. I couldn't breathe, my throat had sealed shut. The hand remained perfectly still for 3 seconds. 4, 5. Then a head slowly tilted into view, too tall, the neck bent at an angle that would snap a human spine, allowing the head to peer sideways around the doorframe. Its face was almost obscured by long black hair that hung in thick, wet, long strands, but through the gaps I saw pale skin stretched over something with wrong architecture, bone in the wrong places, hollow where there should be flesh, and eyes wide, unblinking, not quite aligned. They focused on us with intensity of something that hasn't seen movement in a very long time. It smiled, not wide, just a small upward curl at the edge of what might have been a mouth. A smile of recognition. Then it withdrew, not quickly, slowly, deliberately, as if it wanted us to see it leave, as if our fear was something it was savoring. We ran. The screaming started after that. Not all at once, but in stages, like instruments joining an orchestra. First Mark. We turned a corner and he was behind us 1 second, his flashlight beam visible against the wall, then he wasn't. No footsteps, no shout, just absence. We called his name. The house absorbed our voices, made them small and distant, as if we were shouting underwater. Then faintly from somewhere deep inside the walls, scratching. Not frantic, methodical, like something was slowly dragging claws through the interior of the house, moving between the walls, behind the plaster, above the ceiling, and breathing slowly, deep, patient. Evan tried to smash through a boarded window. The boards wouldn't budge. They'd been nailed from the inside somehow, the nails driven backwards through the wood, and the glass behind them wasn't glass anymore. It was dark and reflective and wet. And when Evan's fist struck it, the surface rippled like disturbed water. Something rippled back from the other side. That's when Sophie was taken. She was walking beside me. I felt her shoulder against mine. I heard her breathing, quick, panicked, human. Then the wall beside her opened. Not cracked, not broken, it simply split, a vertical seam appearing in the plaster that hadn't existed before that moment. The gap was narrow, too narrow for a person to fit through, but a hand shot out, long black fingers wrapping around Sophie's waist with a grip that left white impressions on her clothes. She didn't even have a time to scream before she was pulled through. The wall sealed instantly, perfectly. Not even a crack remained, but I heard her for another 10 seconds on the other side, screaming, then silence. The house became a maze. Doors led to hallways that looped back on themselves. Stairs descended into darkness that never reached the bottom. Rooms repeated themselves, overturned table, the same peeling wallpaper, the same wrongness, but never quite identical, small changes. A chair moved, a window disappeared, And every time we stopped to catch our breath, every time we paused to think, it appeared from corners, from above door frames, sometimes from the ceiling itself. Its elongated body, pressed flat, limbs bent backwards in impossible angles, head dangling down like a spider watching us pass beneath. It never chased, it herded. It wanted us lost, it wanted us confused. It wanted us to understand slowly and completely that we would never leave. Evan vanished in a stairwell that descended far deeper than any building should go. We heard him falling, the sound of his body hitting steps over and over for far too long. The impacts grew fainter, but never stopped. He fell forever. Lena ran blindly through a doorway and collided with something unseen. Something that caught her mid-stride and lifted her off the ground. Her body rose towards the ceiling, jerked by invisible hands, and I saw the impressions of fingers. Not the fingers themselves, but the way her clothes compressed where they gripped her, the way her flesh dimpled under phantom pressure. She was pulled upwards into the ceiling itself, not through a gap, but into it, her body sinking into the plaster like water. The last thing I saw was her feet kicking frantically in empty air, then nothing. It was just me and Claire. We stopped running. There was nowhere left to run. The house had grown so quiet it hurt. The silence had weight. Claire grabbed my face with both hands, forced me to look at her. "We are not dying here," she said. Her voice shook, but her eyes were clear, determined. "Do you hear me? We are not." We started opening doors deliberately. Not fleeing, not panicking, we moved slowly, methodically, refusing to react to sounds, to movements in our peripheral vision, to the feeling of breath on the back of our necks. And something changed. The house seemed confused. The hallway shortened, the air shifted, the oppressive weight lifted slightly. We found the front door. It stood open, waiting. Beyond it, starlight, fresh air, reality. We didn't look back as we ran. We didn't speak until we reached the road. Behind us, I heard the door close softly, gently, like someone saying goodbye. The police never found the house. Briar Hollow Road ends normally now. Pavement intact, trees spaced reasonably apart. No gravel stretch, no narrow house with too many windows. They say trauma caused shared delusions, mass hysteria, disassociated episodes, 4 people missing, no bodies, no evidence. Claire and I stopped correcting them. It was easier to be crazy together than to be right alone. That was 3 weeks ago. She's been sleeping over every night. Neither of us can be alone anymore, not truly alone. With locked doors and darkness and the certainty that we're only ones in a room, we don't talk about that night. Not directly. But sometimes when we pass through doorways, we both look up, just in case. We're sitting on my bedroom floor now, wrapped in blankets, my laptop playing something neither of us is watching. The lights are off. It feels almost normal, almost. Claire stops laughing mid-sentence. I notice immediately her whole body had gone rigid. "What?" I asked. Although I already know, I can feel it too, that crawling sensation between my shoulder blades, that certainty of being observed. She doesn't answer. She's staring at my window. Slowly I turn. At first I see only my reflection, the bedroom behind me, the faint glow of my screen, and then, behind the reflection, outside the glass, in the upper corner of the window frame, something shifts. A long black shape pressed against the exterior brick wall of the 3rd-story building. Fingers curl over the edge of the window frame, too long, too thin, joints bending in too many places. A head tilts into view, upside down, hair hanging towards the ground in long dark strands, eyes wide, unblinking, reflecting the dim light from inside my room, watching us. It shouldn't be able to stand there. It shouldn't be able to exist there. This is the 3rd floor. There's nothing to climb, nothing to hold. Claire's hand finds mine. Her grip is crushing. We don't move, we don't scream, because we both understand something now. Something we've been trying not to think about for 3 weeks. It never lived in that house. The house was just where it fed. It doesn't belong to walls or halls or corners or houses. It belongs to the space just before you turn your head, the moment before you notice, the feeling of being watched that you dismiss as paranoia. It lives in the space between seeing and knowing. Outside the window, still upside down, still impossibly positioned against the brick. It smiles, the same smile from that night, small, knowing. Very slowly, it lifts one claw finger and taps once. Against the glass, the sound is soft, gentle, almost polite. Like it's asking permission, like it's asking to be let in. And this time it doesn't disappear. This time it waits. If tonight's story stayed with you, become part of the Pink Collective by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Until next time, Pink Collective, stay curious, stay safe, and stay pink. And a big shout out to all plants growing through concrete.